Okay, well, I would like to say that the original reason why I made this YouTube channel was because I wanted to vlog the process of me writing my memoir. And if you're ever going to my website, it's Wedgaholics.com, and if you read, so far there's 8 books up, or 8 chapters, and I've been stuck on chapter 9 for about 6 months now. And usually I could bust out a book from start to finish, from typing it verbatim in from my journals to a Word doc to then doing WordPress and getting it up. I usually within 3 to 4, maybe 5 weeks, I could have the entire chapter done. But for this particular chapter, chapter 9, I've had like a kind of a writer's block situation. Finally, I needed to just cut off from social media, and I've been off for like 4 or 5 days, and I was just like punishing myself by not being active on social media because I needed to write. Like, I needed to power through. And the thing that got me to do this was that so for my profession, I'm a copywriter. I do writing for a company, and my direct boss is a writer in her free time also. And she has published books out there. She knows her shit. Like, she's a fucking amazing woman when it comes to writing. And so I was like talking to her, and I was like, listen, like, it's been 6 months. I have severe writer's block, which you would think doesn't exist when it's not like I'm coming up with the creative ideas of what I'm writing. Like, it's already written. It's just a process of me going back and looking at my book and typing. Like, the problem is, though, is that what I'm typing about in this particular chapter has been emotionally hurting and draining, and it's stopped me from continuing to write. So I was like, fuck it, like, I'm gonna get off Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I'm just gonna get off everything, YouTube, and I'm gonna make myself write. So actually, over the last couple days, I actually like powered through and gotten through probably a good chunk of the book. I probably still have a quarter of a way left to type up, but I haven't touched the book, and I haven't touched typing in a good like month or so because I just couldn't. I kept getting stopped. And when I told my boss this, because she has experience in writing, you know, I was like I can't get past this chapter. I can't bring myself to feel the pain and to write, and it hurts, because in my head, when I explained this to her, I was actually writing about a relationship I had, and I'm at the part in the book where the relationship is going downhill, and I'm missing the signs. In my past self, I'm missing the signs, and it's killing me to sit now, present day, even though it's 4 years later, and to read these things that I missed and these signs that I missed, and it literally breaks my heart to watch this relationship crumble in front of my eyes. And it's just like, it's debilitating, and I didn't want to relive it. And I know that it's right at the apex of what's gonna happen, and the bad stuff is literally around the corner. And all I told my boss in the story was, I can't get past this chapter. It's too hard, it's too emotional, and I can't do it. And she just looked at me and she was like, well, that's where your story starts. Like, it's hard because that's where you should be writing your book, the beginning. And I thought, like, but I've already written 8 books. I've already written 8 chapters, and the 9th one is where shit starts. And I didn't kind of like agree with that, because the problem with this chapter is that I hate writing about my relationship with my ex. It bothers me. And that can't be the essence of where my story should start. But it wasn't until today when I realized that it wasn't, the relationship with my ex crumbles in this chapter, and a little bit into the next one, and I realized that that was the beginning of figuring out who I was as an individual, and figuring out what toxic people were, and really coming into my own as a person. And when I think back, I was out with friends last week having drinks, and somebody asked me, like, oh, you're 30? Like, what was the best year of your 20s? And my response to the best year of my 20s was 29. And it's fucking weird because, like, 29, really? And it was really 29 because I finally felt like I had all my ducks in a row. I was financially independent. I was mentally sound. I identified with who I was, okay with who I wanted to be with. Like, I was just 100% whole as a person. And I realized that I got to that point through the sabotage and deceit and betrayal of the relationship that I was in, you know, a few years prior to that moment. And so my relationship didn't define what was difficult about this book, but more so the start of a new me, and it's just powering through this little like speed bump that is gonna really open up my book and really show the growth of myself and my identity and who I am, who I want to be. And it has to do with the demise of that relationship. And so my boss made sense to me, and then I got off social for like 5 days, and now today I powered through and I finished a boatload of pages. I'm not done yet, but I've made more progress today than I have in months. So with that said, this already is too long, but I wanted to just like give that update because I felt very AWOL from social. I haven't posted really anywhere, and writing sucks, and sometimes writer's block gets the best of you. But you know what? If you power through, I promise, like, you know, you'll get there. The story always gets better because there's no other choice. And I know that for this story, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse, and then it's going to go up. And I know it's going to get better because here I am today, and I'm a billion times better than I was during those years that book was written. So yeah, that is my long-winded update. And that's all I gotta say. We're done.